What if I told you that many seniors confuse being alone with being lonely? Here's the shocking truth. Loneliness kills as surely as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, according to the US Surgeon General. But I'm about to show you a 69% solution that medical studies prove works, and 3 things you can do today, even if you're listening to this completely alone right now. Before we go any further, let me give you something you can use immediately. Take 30 seconds right now to name one person who would genuinely want to hear about your day. Can't think of anyone? That's your first warning sign. Can think of someone but haven't talked to them in weeks? Well, that's your action step for today. But first, let me tell you about Margaret Thompson, an 84-year-old from Toledo who went from dreading every morning to teaching digital photography to her neighbor. And it all started with understanding one crucial difference. Margaret lived with her daughter's family in a bustling household. 6 people, constant activity, never truly alone. Yet every morning, she'd lie in bed dreading the day ahead, feeling completely invisible despite being surrounded by loved ones. Her doctor never asked about this. They checked her blood pressure, normal. Her cholesterol, good. Her heart rate, steady. But they missed the silent killer that was slowly destroying her from the inside. Here's what loneliness actually does to your body. Your brain can't tell the difference between physical pain and emotional isolation. Both trigger the same alarm system, flooding you with stress hormones that break down your immune system, raise your blood pressure, and increase your dementia risk by 60%. Margaret had all 3 warning signs of dangerous loneliness. The first, morning dread. Waking up feeling like your day doesn't matter to anyone. The second, hidden thoughts, stopping yourself from sharing real opinions to avoid conflict. And the third, activity avoidance, turning down invitations because you assume you'll feel more alone. But here's what Margaret discovered that changed everything, and why the solution surprised even her doctor. A groundbreaking medical study found something remarkable. 39% of participants eliminated loneliness completely, and another 69% significantly reduced it. The solution wasn't more family visits or group activities. It was trained companions who provided consistent, meaningful friendship. Before I explain how this works, try this right now. Think of the last time someone asked about your thoughts, not just your health. If it's been more than a week, you need what Margaret found. Margaret's breakthrough came when her daughter hired Sarah, a professional companion, to visit twice weekly. Not a nurse, not a home health aide, a trained friend whose only job was to see Margaret as a whole person. Within a month, Margaret was teaching Sarah about the birds in her backyard. Within 2 months, she was learning to use an iPad to video chat with her sister in Florida. Sarah didn't just visit. She listened to Margaret's stories about teaching school for 30 years, her memories of raising 3 children during the 1970s, her opinions about everything from gardening to politics. The key difference? Sarah showed up consistently, without her own problems, family drama, or competing obligations. Margaret became the priority during those visits. Here's the paradox that confuses everyone. The loneliest woman I ever met lived with 6 family members, while the happiest 84-year-old I know hasn't shared a home with anyone in 15 years. The difference is quality, not quantity. Margaret's family discussed work stress, school problems, weekend plans, but they never asked what Margaret thought about any of it. She became like furniture in her own home, present but not seen, breathing but not living. This happens because surface-level interactions actually make loneliness worse than no interaction at all. When your grandson asks, "How are you, Grandma?" but scrolls through his phone while you answer, it highlights how disconnected you really feel. Here's something you can do right now. Stop agreeing with everything to avoid conflict. The next time someone asks your opinion, give your real answer. If they don't like it, you've learned something important about that relationship. There's also what I call the retirement factor. Work used to provide identity, purpose, and daily social interaction. Without it, many seniors lose their sense of self beyond family roles. You used to be a teacher, manager, nurse. Now you're just grandma. and that single role can't carry the weight of your entire identity. But here's what medical researchers discovered about the difference between healthy alone time and dangerous isolation. Let me tell you about Thomas Chen, a 78-year-old retired engineer who spends most days alone and couldn't be happier. Every morning, he drinks coffee while working on woodworking projects in his garage. Afternoons are for reading military history books he never had time for during his career. Evenings bring classical music and cooking elaborate meals for one. Thomas chose his solitude. Margaret felt trapped by hers. Here's the brain science behind this. When you choose to be alone, your brain activates creativity and calm regions. When isolation gets forced on you, your brain triggers the same pain centers that respond to physical injury. You can transform this immediately. First, identify one space in your home that's entirely yours. This week, set up that space for one activity you genuinely enjoy. This month, spend 30 minutes daily in that space, doing something that brings you joy, not just passing time. Thomas transformed his garage into a workshop where he builds birdhouses for his neighbors. Margaret worked with Sarah to turn her spare bedroom into an art studio, where she now paints watercolors of family photos. The difference between chosen solitude and forced isolation is how much control you feel. When you actively decide to spend time alone for reflection, hobbies, or personal growth, loneliness disappears. You don't need to wait for family visits or formal programs. Here are 3 research-backed steps you can take immediately. The first step is what I call the daily check-in. It takes 0 to 15 minutes. Call, text, or email one person every day. Not "how are you," but something specific. "I saw a cardinal this morning and remembered you love birds." Or, "What do you think about this weather we're having?" Real connection starts with real conversation. Margaret started texting her sister photos of her watercolor paintings. Now they exchange daily pictures and have 20-minute phone calls every Sunday. The second step is the expertise share. This takes about 30 minutes weekly. Identify something you know that others might want to learn. Offer to teach a neighbor, volunteer at a school, or help someone in your community. Your decades of experience have value. Use it. Thomas started teaching basic woodworking to teenagers at the community center. Now he has 6 regular students who seek his advice on everything from tool selection to life decisions. The third step is the interest pursuit. Dedicate 1 hour weekly to this. Choose one activity you've always wanted to try or used to love. Do it consistently, even if you do it alone. Join a class, start a project, or simply dedicate time to reading about subjects that fascinate you. Here's your success indicator. If you find yourself looking forward to this time rather than just filling time, you've transformed isolation into chosen solitude. If these steps feel overwhelming, or you've tried similar approaches without success, professional companion care might be the solution. Many communities offer these services through local senior centers with sliding scale fees, healthcare systems with social wellness programs, volunteer programs that match seniors with trained companions, or private agencies specializing in non-medical social support. What should you look for? Companions who focus on your interests, listen without judgment, and show up consistently. Their job is to be present with you, not to manage your health or solve your problems. Here's the investment payoff. Studies show participants had 19% more preventive care visits and 20% fewer emergency room visits. Taking care of loneliness helps you take better care of everything else. The difference between alone and lonely isn't about how many people surround you. It's about whether you feel seen, heard, and valued for who you really are. Your action step for today: pick one of the 3 warning signs that resonated most with you. If you dread mornings, plan something tomorrow that you'll genuinely look forward to. If you've been hiding your real thoughts, share one honest opinion with someone who matters to you. If you've been avoiding activities, choose one thing to try this week. Here's Margaret's update. 6 months later, she wakes up excited about her art projects, shares her real opinions during family dinners, and has started a watercolor club at the senior center. She still lives with her daughter's family, but now she also chooses time alone in her studio. and that choice has made all the difference. Tell us, which warning sign speaks to you most? What one small step will you take today? Taking control of your solitude is taking control of your happiness. You have the power to choose connection or solitude on your own terms.